Ladies and gentlemen, for the next 15 minutes, I present to you Walnut Grove Ministries and the Contending For The Faith broadcast, where Ray Floyd Sr. is the pastor. And our motto is feeding thousands with the word to feed thousands with the word. But for the first 60 seconds, we're going to do it like this. Contending for the faith, 24/7, every day. God says, and I concur, from this word I won't deter.
John 8:31 says, then Jesus said to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then ye are my disciples indeed. And get this, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. This verse reminds me of a question that I was asked, and I heard a lot. I was asked, it's a two-part question. What is the difference between a real preacher and a fake preacher? And should I receive advice from someone that I know is probably not living right? Let me just answer the first part of that question first. You'll be surprised to know that the difference between a real preacher and a fake preacher is not how well they preach or how skillfully they use the word of God. It's not whether they've been to seminary or any type of classes that makes the difference between a real preacher and a fake preacher. Those things make preachers a better preacher. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe we should study. But look, it's not even how they live. Whether they live a raggedy life or a holy life that makes it that's the difference between a real preacher and a fake preacher. And I do think that before you run off a tangent with that, I do think that preachers ought to practice what they preach. But the only difference between a real preacher and a fake preacher is just one is called and the other one ain't. That's the difference between a real preacher and a fake preacher. Now, to the second part of the question, should I receive advice from someone I think is not living right? Well, can I receive advice from a crack addict? Can I receive advice from an alcoholic? Can I receive marital advice from someone that's been divorced? Can I receive advice from a single mother with 3 or 4 kids that's never been married? Can I receive advice from these people? The answer is yes. You can receive advice and you can learn from anyone. What I like about this verse is that this verse does not say that any preacher or person will set you free, but this verse says you would know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And it's been my experience. God has used all types of people dealing with all types of personal issues themselves to speak into my life. Now, the reason I'm talking about that is because we have this thing in church where if we think a person is not living by the certain standards or the way we think they ought to live, that they do not have a right to speak into our lives. Listen to me. Do not let the devil trick you. No matter how they say it or what they say, well, no matter how they say it or how loud they say it, or even if their life don't line up with it, if it's the truth, we need to learn as mature Christians to focus more on what is said, the truth, rather than on the personalities or the vessel that the truth come in. I mean, even kids know that. You know what kids do every Christmas? You spend all that time buying ribbons, buying Christmas wrap and all of that. The kids doesn't care about the vessel or the box that the Christmas present come in. They focusing on the present, what's on the inside. They tear all that stuff apart. And that's where we should be when it comes to receiving the word of God. I tell you what, let me tell you this story. It's just a kind of hypothetical thing. Imagine that you get off work one night at 2:30 in the morning and it's raining cats and dogs. You know, the kind of rain where you can't even see the road, barely can see the road. I mean, your windshield wipers can just hardly keep up with the rate of the rain. All of a sudden, while you're driving home trying to get to your house, all of a sudden, there's a man in the middle of the street. You almost hit this man. And so you come to a shrieking halt. The man walks over to your car, you crack the window, and he says, wait a minute, turn around, the bridge is out. Now you got two choices. You can cuss this man out because you realize this man is not only in the middle of the street, this man is drunk. He slurs speech drunk, he's urinating on himself drunk, he barely can stand up drunk. You can say, man, you drunk. Go and turn around, get away from my car, and you know how some of you all talk. But let's say you turn around and you go home the other way. You get home, you get out your wet clothes, sit down in front of the television with a robe on, trying to warm up. You take your remote control and hit the remote control. TV comes on. News flash. A family of 4 has just drowned because the bridge was out on the road that you was taking home. Here's my question to you. Who put the drunk man in your path? I guarantee you it was nobody but God.